pleasure of welcoming Richard Goetz. He's an attorney at law and the leader of international practice at Tiecon. Richard, it's a pleasure to welcome you.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
You bring a different perspective, but a very important perspective for entrepreneurs, is the help needed for entrepreneurs with attorneys in terms of their business practices, especially in the IP area. Wanted to understand from you, what is your take for entrepreneurs struggle with this side of the business, and how do you help them?
Well, it's important that whoever's working with an entrepreneur brings value to the experience for the entrepreneur. If we have the lawyers, the accountants, the advisors that they cross paths with aren't adding value to the process, then they need to find someone else. Some of that value may not be increased profitability or increased asset value, but rather the avoidance of risk. And so attorneys in particular come with a dual set of value added. One is to increase the actual value of the business by finding ways to accomplish goals in the most efficient way possible, but also to avoid risk so that the company that the entrepreneur is forming is able to do its business with a minimum amount of risk involved in everything it does, whether that's from product liability for a product, whether that's in tax associated risks or in other ways.
You know, one of the major challenges for entrepreneurs at the early stage companies is, they don't have enough funds, they're still struggling to raise their funds. But the two sides of the coin. One side is they don't realize the importance of intellectual property. The other side, if they do realize, they can't afford an attorney. How do you think they should be able to best avail the opportunities from people like you?
Attorneys will talk to potential clients for at least a period of time and give them some ideas. And I recommend to anyone who's doing this and who wants to start a business or go into business that they spend some time talking to not one but to several attorneys to get an idea of what they're like, what the cost is, because frequently individuals come away thinking, I can't possibly afford this, when the conclusion after having the discussion is, this is something not only can I afford, it's something that's going to add value, as I said. So it is part of the value equation, and it's critically important because the intellectual property may be the most valuable asset the company has. Protecting it, using it efficiently, and making sure that it's not usurped or taken by someone else is critically important.
I want to take you to the international level where, regardless of what business you're in, it's a global field, it's a level playing field. There's a strong advice from many leaders in the community to entrepreneurs that at an early stage start connecting globally. What is your take on it?
I think that's very good advice. Connecting in the sense of knowing what's out there, knowing who your competition is, knowing what companies are doing that parallels what you're doing is critically important. Depending on what the product is, the output of the entrepreneur's efforts are, will then depend on whether international production, international distribution, other kinds of international connections, including intellectual property, are the way to proceed, whether it's better to license, to make, or to do something else in another country.
Finally, I want to get your perspective on entrepreneurship. What do you think makes a good entrepreneur from an attorney's perspective?
From an attorney's perspective, I'll avoid the easy one of saying one who works well with his attorneys. I think an entrepreneur is someone who has a very inquisitive mind, somebody who's open to new ideas and to challenges, who's got a lot of courage, but not foolish courage. Courage in the sense of being willing to take risks, but knowing fully what those risks are and being able to develop a plan that works in a very complex world.
Richard, thank you. I really appreciate the time.
Thank you. My pleasure.